You should prepare now to never own a home. That's the plan that's being put into place right now by the powers that be to make sure you're a permanent renter and you'll never own anything, but you'll be happy. So in this video, let's talk about why you need to get a home now if it's something you're capable of doing, because very soon here in the future, it might be an impossibility. Hey everybody, it's Magic Prepper, and today we're talking about the fact that it's going to be very difficult to buy a single family home at any point soon here in the future. Powers that be, when I say that I mean big money, are coming through and buying up all the single family homes they possibly can. Hedge funds are buying single family homes for 20 to 50% over their asking price, which the average person cannot compete with. And as you know, when it comes to preparedness and prepping, location can be everything. And what that means is not just where the location is or where the property exists, but the fact that having a location that's more permanent and having the space you need to prepare properly can make the difference as to whether or not you survive an SHTF scenario. And right now, finding that place and finding that property and finding that area is becoming more and more difficult. So if you're trying to prepare for SHTF scenarios and you don't quite have the location you want yet, and you're worried about not being able to get it here soon, then hit the subscribe button below, because these hedge funds are buying you out of the capability of having your castle. It's not something you're going to be able to do here very soon. They want you to be permanent renters, and that is the plan. Okay, so first off, BlackRock, one of the world's largest financial asset managers. They have $8.67 trillion. That's a lot. In assets worldwide. They are a multinational conglomeration, and they are big supporters of the World Economic Forum and very stout supporters of the Great Reset, which we all know is going to be a big problem for us here moving forward in the future, especially in the sense of being self-reliant, okay? So they're buying all the single family homes because the Federal Reserve has kept interest rates near zero, which means that for these giant investment firms, there's not really an incentive to continually invest traditionally. So what they're going to do instead is buy hard assets that have a better chance of gaining in value over time. And especially with the scarcity of the market right now, the supply and demand measures, and the fact that things even like lumber and other resources in order to maintain construction are too expensive, and outpricing the ability to keep building more homes is going to create this whole housing market to look very lucrative for these giant firms. The issue is that they're competing with average Americans who don't have the capital to buy a home for $50,000, $60,000, $100,000 more than it's worth. And that's what these hedge funds are doing. They're buying you out of your ability to own a home, and then they're going to put you in the home as a renter, and you'll never ever have the option to buy it. Here's some issues, okay? BlackRock is a strong supporter of the WEC, they're a strong supporter of the Great Reset, and they have very strong ties to socialistic ideologies when it comes to how the world should be moving forward. They've definitely put their money where their mouth is, and it's something you have to keep in mind, because in the sense of creating some kind of a socialist utopia, there's no point in anybody owning anything because the government will, and they'll provide it for you. Therefore, a permanent residency of renters is all you need. You do not need owners of land or property. You need subservient people who are willing to pay your bills for you. And that's exactly what they're looking to do, okay? Other thing that you have to understand is they're pushing about $120 trillion into green energy, basically, sustainability. They want to get everybody on board to invest in green energy ideas and get rid of oil and everything else related to it. But at the end of the day, what does that mean? It means that this firm that's a big proponent of the economic Great Reset that the world is supposedly transitioning through right now also wants to control the assets revolving around sustainable energy, which is a huge part of prepping, because we want to be able to provide ourselves with the energy we need and have the self-reliance that we desire. And the same corporation that doesn't want you to own a home and doesn't want you to own land and doesn't want you to have the ability to have a solar farm is the same asset manager that's going to buy up all the green energy resources out there and get all their buddies on board to do the same thing in order to control your ability to access it in the future. Why would you need to own solar panels if you can lease them? Why would you need to own any kind of renewable energy source if you can just pay for it? That is where we're heading, and this is why this is so concerning. If you don't already own a home, it doesn't matter if it's paid off flat out or if it's mortgaged or whatever it might be, it's going to get way harder for you to do it. And you need to take advantage of the time we have now to set yourself up into a situation that allows you to become a homeowner as soon as possible. This is a very difficult road we're on. The average American buys a home to invest into their equity. Most of us can't buy a house flat out, so we mortgage it. But in a mortgage, rather than paying rent, you're at least building equity in a property in most cases. And that is what allows people to move forward down the road. They turn over and they sell the home that they bought originally for a profit and use that profit to move into a nicer or better location down the road. That's kind of how a lot of people have moved themselves forward, at least traditionally, and it's not allowed to be happening anymore. Because even now, if you sell your home and make a profit, it will still be difficult for you to acquire the next home that you want to have, because these hedge funds like BlackRock are buying these houses minutes after they come onto the market. They're falling under contract, and when a seller, as somebody who recently sold a home, I can tell you, if someone comes in and says, I will give you an offer for $20,000 more than asking price, you're not going to ask questions as to who they are or what they're going to do with the house. You're going to say, yeah, you got it, sign it away, and there you go. And that's what's happening. And unfortunately, we're transitioning all of our personally owned property over to these giant big bank asset managers that are going to then turn around and sell it back to us at an interest rate that we can't afford. And that's exactly where we're heading. This is very, very difficult, because as preppers and people want to be more prepared, owning the place you live in allows you to modify it and allows you to turn it into what you need to have the best prepared lifestyle that you can have. And a lot of us can't do that in the sense of being renters. If you're a renter, there's no incentive for you to invest in a giant water storage system that's permanently affixed to the structure, because you might not live there very soon. You don't want to invest into a giant solar array that you won't be able to move, because who knows when you'll be kicked out. And now all the evictions are coming through after last year when they had a moratorium. Well, guess who's buying up the houses that the tenants could no longer afford to pay the rent on, and that the owners and landlords could no longer afford to pay the mortgage on because the tenants weren't paying their rent? The hedge funds, they're buying all the houses that are falling apart because of last year. So this is going to continue. This is why you need to make moves when you're able to. Part of prepping is having timing. And right now the timing is telling you that buying a home now is what you got to do. Yeah, they're expensive. Yeah, they're more money than they were a year ago. And yeah, trying to build one is out of control. But pretty soon you might not be able to do it at all. And that's an issue. And it's one of the reasons why we recently purchased a new home. It wasn't because we felt the need to just be homeowners and wanted to, have that clout or whatever it is you think it might, give you at that point in time. It's because I could see there being problems on the horizon in the sense of being able to acquire property down the road. And here we are in a situation where supply chain issues are making the resources necessary for building new homes really unaffordable and unobtainable. And we have hedge funds buying us out of being able to put a good offer on a home that we would like to have, because they can rent it out for more money and make money down the road later. This is an issue, okay? BlackRock is also a huge investor in weapons manufacturing. So that's something else you want to consider, because part of the Great Reset might not be so peaceful. So in that situation, good thing they're also investing in the ability to wipe us out if need be. These are the things we need to pay attention to, everybody. World Economic Forum just straight up told everybody what they're trying to do, and these companies are the ones that are doing it, and you buying a house might not be a reality here very soon. And do what you can to position yourself in the best way possible now, before it's too late, to get the place that you need to be as prepared as humanly possible for what is most likely heading our way at this point. If you can't see the writing on the wall, it's all there for you, but you have to look a little bit harder, okay? Look, they want to make you a permanent renter. And what happens when you're a permanent renter, and what happens when you turn neighborhoods into places that most of the homes are filled by tenants rather than owners, is that people lack the care and respect of the community at that point. There's no investment into the home, there's no investment into the neighborhood, there's no investment into the community, which means you get a lot of negativity in return for those scenarios. And generally, when it comes to nicer neighborhoods, the house that blows up from cooking meth in a bathtub is usually being rented, not owned by somebody. And that's a big problem. And yes, there's ways to deal with those situations, but unfortunately, when these giant hedge funds with more money than anybody else on the planet decides that they're going to buy up houses and rent them out, they don't care. Nothing you can do about it is going to affect them at all, because they have unlimited resources and you can't compete with it. So, you're going to be a permanent renter if you don't make moves soon. and they're gonna make your neighborhood more and more crappy because of just the side effects of what that whole cycle causes. And it's very unfortunate, but it is just what it is. And that's what they want. Slumlords running slums all over the place that nobody can afford to get out of. We're heading that way. This hurts our ability to prepare, because if you don't have the place you need or the place that you want to be in order to be as prepared as you can, then you're not as prepared as you can be. And that is an issue for all of us, and it's very difficult. But make the sacrifices and put in the work that you need to do now to make sure that this doesn't become a reality for you, because that is where we are heading. And we can see it, it's being reported on, everybody knows about it, and there's just not much we can do, unfortunately, because we don't have the money they do. And that's a big problem. So I wanted to bring this to your attention. I'm trying to motivate you. I'm not trying to discourage anybody in the sense of being able to own a home or not. All I'm saying is that if you're in a position to be able to do so now, timing is of the essence. And unfortunately, right now it seems like time is in the favor of those with the bigger wallets, as it generally is. So without anything else to say about why you need to prepare to never own a home and why now might be the time to make a move, that's going to be it for Magic Prep.